Hello and welcome to the Westerville City Schools podcast, We Are the Ville. This podcast will take you behind the scenes of Westerville City Schools and show you the ins and outs of how our school operates and the great kids we have. I'm your host, Melanie Amato, and on our first episode, we are going to introduce you to a 7-part series called They Are All Our Kids. As communications director, I hear this question a lot around the community. Why do we educate students in our district that live outside of the city of Westerville, especially students who live in the city of Columbus? The answer is simple. The students who live within our school district boundaries, but outside of the city of Westerville, have always been our kids. Over the last 200 years, the boundaries of Westerville have grown to include students throughout all of Blendon Township, which include the village of Minerva Park, the eastern portion of Sharon Township, the southern portion of Genoa Township, and the far western portion of Plain Township. Westerville Schools serve students throughout Blendon Township long before the boundaries of the city of Columbus annexed much of the southern part of the township. Therefore, the students we serve today from Blendon Township, City of Columbus, Genoa Township, Plain Township, Sharon Township, and the village of Minerva Park have always attended Westerville City Schools. But to learn how we are today, we must go back to the beginning and how it all began. How did we become a district of 14,600 students with 15 elementary schools, 5 middle schools, and 3 high schools? Why were these buildings built? Where were the students coming from? And why are we called Westerville City Schools when a majority of our students live outside of Westerville? In each episode, we will talk about our school buildings and how they came to be. Joining me today and throughout this series is Chief Personnel and Policy Officer, Scott Reeves. Hello, Scott.
Hey, Melanie. How are you? Thanks for having me today.
Absolutely. Now, before we begin, the story of how we became Westerville City Schools is a passion project of yours, correct?
So absolutely. I'm a former social studies teacher, and everyone who knows me loves I have a passion for history, especially when I can make a personal connection to that history. And the boundaries of Westerville schools and Columbus schools are very much intertwined since the mid-1960s. I'm a Columbus Public Schools kid. I graduated from Eastmore High School in 1987, and much of the Westerville and Columbus history are intertwined since the 60s, and I experienced it as a student in the late 1970s when I was a part of the busing for desegregation that Columbus underwent. I experienced it as a teacher in Columbus for 10 years and witnessed the outpouring of students from Columbus into the suburbs. And then as an administrator, when Win-Win began, we'll talk about that in future episodes, I was in high school and it ended in my time here in Westerville. So I've kind of lived the whole gambit of it. So it's very, very passionate and personal for me.
And that's amazing. Like I said in the intro, many people in our community think we are busing students in from other areas that live outside of district lines, and that shouldn't be going to Westerville City Schools. Why are they saying that?
Well, I think for a lot of reasons. One is there's a misconception, which is the point of our podcast series. There's a misconception of what students should be going to Westerville City Schools and where should they be coming from. And I think people have a confusion about the win-win agreement, which we'll talk about in a little bit here, and what the win-win agreement meant. And people thought that mistakenly that we actually took kids, when at the seam of it all, we protected the kids that we've always had in our district. And so I think those misconceptions are one of the things that we want to clear up. When I have the chance to talk to people and share with them, they're like, wow, I didn't know that, but that makes a lot of sense. And when I talk to some of our seasoned citizens who lived through it as well, they're like, yeah, I remember that, but I didn't know why this or that happened. Mm-hmm. So that's why we're doing this, Melanie, and hope that we can clear up and help the understanding of people understanding who we educate and from where.
And how can we get them to know the truth? So they can listen to this podcast, but really, we're going to get into the nitty gritty of our history of Westerville City Schools.
Yeah, we have this podcast, and I think this is an outgrowth of a presentation that I put together and developed over several years that started from a classroom at North to now it's become a presentation that I have given to the library staff, to the local realtors, to the Chamber of Commerce, the City of Westerville, And every time we have what we call Westerville Educator Day or We Day Professional Development, I give it to staff. And every time they walk away with learning something they didn't know that helps them to understand the makeup of our school district better. And I love giving this presentation, and I've told people that I will give it to whomever. You get a bunch of neighbors in a garage, put up a screen, and I'll give it to you. So I just love giving it to people and helping them understand and clear up any misconceptions that they have.
So this is going to be a fascinating series as we dive deep on how we ended up with the schools we have today and the students we have. So thanks for joining us today, Scott. I look forward to future episodes. And really in our next episode, do you know the name of our oldest school in Westerville? We'll tell you next, plus learn how they got their names. Thanks for joining us.